Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Michael Carducci. Welcome to the Q&A webinar. So the whole idea here, if this is your first webinar, is this is just an opportunity to get together, get some updates outside of the usual channels, the Facebook group, the Twitter, the change log that appears actually inside of Mago, spark off some discussions and ask whatever questions you might have. And this is a good opportunity to do this and learn from some of the questions that other people are asking as well. One of the great things about these questions is a lot of times people end up asking questions that you yourself might not have even thought to ask. There's so many different facets and dimensions to the software that that's just a great opportunity to get together. So again, big hello and welcome to everybody who's here. Feel free to ask any questions that come up below in the chat. We already have one in here so far to kind of just go over the email blast feature and some of the tags and some of the things around that as well. But anything else you would like us to talk about, comment on, again, below the channel here. There is the opportunity to ask a question. So you can post a question to be asked, and when we answer that, one of the nice things about this software that we're using, this webinar platform, is that when you go back to watch the replay, in addition to watching the webinar in its entirety, you also have the opportunity to jump directly to the answers of specific questions. So, think about that. Great question. Think about that. Think about anything else you want to talk about while we're here. Take the opportunity to dive into on this time, and we'll just go from there. A few little updates that I just wanted to kind of communicate, just kind of broadcast out, since we've got a group here, some folks listening. The first one is very happy to announce that I have hired a support manager, and so this is kind of big change for me. It's going to be a big change for you as well. Basically, anybody who's been here since the launch, you know that I've been working very long hours. It's not unlikely that you would get an answer to a question from me at 2 or 3 in the morning, and likewise, people might be scheduling a call with me at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on the same day. I'm working a lot of hours. Just really wanted to make sure that that you have everything you need, that you've been successful. Fortunately, the platform's been growing, and I've had the opportunity to hire somebody great. Sarah, who I think might be on the call, has been taking over a lot of the initial response, a lot of the support Q&A stuff going on the support ticket system itself. You're going to hear more and more from Sarah, but she's doing a great job, and really happy to have her on the team. A couple other new team members. I've got Luke is joining us. Luke and I share a mutual friend. We actually met at a tech event that I was doing in Virginia. Extremely bright guy, very excited to have him on the team. He's going to be building out some cool features. Actually, some features I'm really excited about he's working on right now, bringing in, well, let me just put it this way. Imagine this. You get a lead, just for the sake of argument, it's a birthday party. You might not even do that type of performance, but imagine that you're doing a birthday party, and not only do you have the information, oh, this is for my son's birthday party, this, that, and the other, you have all this other information about the person themselves, their job title, who they work for, what they do. You get a little more intelligence about that person, so you can kind of link into the social media, and it really helps you understand who you're talking to, so you can customize your response to that person directly. Same with companies, same with things like that. Just getting a little more visibility. Actually, in a lot of cases, having a picture of this person, so when you show up to the event and you pull up Mago on your phone or whatever platform you're looking at, you know what this person looks like before you've even shown up to the event. So when I show up to a corporate event, I don't have to kind of look around and find the person who looks most like the person who's looking for me, and then I kind of pretend that, oh yeah, hey, great to see you, which I'm usually right, but not all the time, and sometimes it's a little awkward. So but yeah, getting that photograph, getting all that information. But yes, so he's building that. He's building a couple other things. One of the other things that will be rolling out very soon, that Lou's working on, is the multiple payment integrations. So we have the capability right now to integrate with a couple hundred payment gateways, and it's been a lower priority item just because we have the ability right now to take payments, and it's an incremental improvement over a big grand improvement. Like something like the email blast or the imap integration is a big improvement, a big new feature that adds a lot of power. But being able to switch from one payment provider to another is more of an incremental thing. So it's always been a lower priority thing. But I want to make sure that these things don't slip away. I want to make sure that these kind of smaller things that might have a more marginal value, but really altogether they start to add up. I wanted to make sure that we kept getting momentum on that. So I hired Luke, and he's working on these things, and I'm excited to be able to work on some of these big picture things, work on the little picture things, and get all the support in progress at the same time. Just kind of going over okay, we got a couple of questions here. Great. Yeah, all good stuff here. So one question to speak to your point, Mark. Sarah does have a her own email within the organization. Although my recommendation is to still use the main support channel, which would be the ticket system, just because to be honest, anybody who's got an email account, you can relate to this. An email comes in, right, and then all the emails come in above it. Things get pushed off onto page 2, page 3, page 4 of your email, and things get lost. Whereas the ticketing system gives us a way to kind of pass the baton. So if there's something you need from anybody here in the Mago team, you can put that in the support ticket system. It can easily get transferred to the right person. It needs to go to somebody else with all the context, and it's in a place where it's not ever going to get lost. It's not ever going to get buried. So that's always the best way to go about that. So I always encourage going through that channel. I'll be honest, it's emails are a good way to get a question kind of not necessarily dealt with. Facebook is the same way. If it's a question directly from me or somebody in the team, if you need immediate support, the ticket system is always the best way to go. I'm going to give here, trying to think any other big updates. The imap feature is still in beta. There's one or two little issues that I'm just trying to work the kinks out before it finally goes live. The biggest one, and I don't want to bore you with too many technical details, but the biggest one is the way that we deal with Gmail accounts. So Gmail is pushing everybody towards a system of connecting and logging into Gmail that doesn't use passwords. Instead, you create something called a token, which basically says whoever has this token can access the email, and anytime you can say, whoever has that token, they're not allowed to log in anymore, and you can do that without exposing your password, without having to without having to give away your password, and at the same time while still having control to grant or revoke that token at any time. It's a little more complicated than that. There's a little more that goes into it. But there's a little more to it. But the main idea is that it's more secure, and so they it's a good thing that they're pushing people towards it. However, the idea, the tokens are a little bit. A token lasts for an hour. And that's basically to make these tokens not very useful if somebody ever hacked into a system and got a token. Well, the token, by the time you can get in, the token is already expired. So we have a whole process to get new tokens, and still trying to figure out exactly what the problem is that it's not allowing us to get new tokens every time we want to check mail. So as soon as that's resolved, then the whole thing will be live. There's a lot of support now for notifications, so you actually know when these emails are coming in. It's going to completely change the way you deal with email in Mago for the better. So I'm really excited about that. The other big thing has just been, like I said, bringing the team members on and being able to, focus more on some of these strategic initiatives and give you a bit better experience through the whole process. So we've got some questions down here. Give me 1 second to to read these, and we'll kick off. I know we'll start here at the beginning. The basic workings of an email blast. Now, there's two real components that go into this. There is the email blast itself, and then there's the kind of broader notion of how you go through and kind of organize your data. So you know by now that Mago supports a feature called tags, and essentially tags give you the ability to go in and start to organize your data, so you can focus in and say, you can start to segment people. You can say, this is a corporate client, this is a private client, this is a birthday party client, these are people who I met at a certain event. And so I want to give you a few tips before we go into the email blast in terms of how to actually to manage these. And the best tip is to do this kind of right at the beginning. So if you have multiple websites, for example, and you create a contact form, and I'm doing this here under automation, clicking on contact form, and let's say I have my main website contact form, I can immediately, after I've defined what fields I want in there, I can immediately go in and customize this and customize the response. So I can start to tag immediately. And one of the tricks with tags, by the way, I think this is one thing that might trip people up from time to time and worth mentioning, is the process to create a tag. You just start typing. So if I want to start saying past clients, as I type, it's going to suggest a list of existing tags that you can select. If you keep typing, that list will go away. So if you want to pick an existing one, just click on it, and there you've got your tag. It's turned blue. If you want to create a brand new tag, you just start typing. This is you could just start typing in there. Now you'll notice as I've typed in here, this hasn't turned blue yet, because tags can have spaces in them, can have certain characters like that. Just creating a space isn't going to kind of tell the editor here that you're at the end. So you have to type either a comma or type the enter key, and that will actually finish the whole process, create that tag. But now you can start tagging people as they come in through your website form. So this is one, if you have multiple forms on multiple websites, this is one great way to do this. If you've got a corporate site and a private site, or a corporate site and a birthday party site, or if you've got a speaking site and you've got a mentalism site or a hypnotism site and a keynote site, you can start to segment your customers that way. The next thing that you can do is do this as part of your automation. So if I'm going to quote a birthday party show, if I'm going to send out my birthday party quote, and I have this whole sequence that goes out and fills in my quote information and sends my birthday sales letter and sends my follow-up and so on, add a step in your automation sequence that will apply a tag there. So, essentially in this sequence, if you're automating this whole process, just add a step. So every time you send out that sales letter, it's going to create that tag. And so you're automatically getting your tags applied here. So I can say tag contact, great, step 1. Step 2, I can type in whatever tag I want. So I want birthday party, warm leads or whatever. This is something that I might do if I, as part of a didn't get the gig type of deal. So if So in my birthday party sequence, I might tag them as warm leads. In other words, these are people who didn't book me, but might book me in the future. So I want to stay in touch with them as people I did never get to work with, but I know have kids who have birthdays. I'll tag them, and I might not tag it right away. I might tag it on, after 28 days. If they haven't booked me in 28 days, then I'm just going to assume it's not going to happen. So they go into that warm leads category. So after 28 days, put them in my warm leads category, and then I can kind of deal with them accordingly. So now that you've got, and the other ways to tag records, by the way, are just if you're editing a contact, you can very easily, in fact, let me just see if I've got if we've got any kind of contact. I don't have them I recently viewed, but if you've got a contact, you can tag them that way as well. You can just edit the record and apply the tags. You can also do this as part of the import process. So when you're importing your contacts into Mago, you can apply multiple tags for every single record being imported. But one other tip in here you see in this, to think about when you're doing any kind of sales process is, remember that when the lead converts into a gig, all your sales follow-ups get canceled, get turned off. So you can take advantage of this and schedule all kinds of follow-ups after the show date. So, one day after the show, you can send a happy birthday, and then 325 days after the show, you can follow up and say, hey, by the way, last year you contacted me about doing a birthday party at such and such, and it didn't work out. How about doing something this year? You can do the same with your corporate clients. You can do the same with, and I'll reach out to people probably about 3 times a year for 5 years. And this is one of those. This is one of those things that really compounds your entire business. It's funny, when I made the decision to start working on Mago full time, I decided, all right, I'm going to go all in on this Mago, on building Mago and building something spectacular. And I'm not going to do any marketing. I'm not going to actively pursue any shows. Anything that falls in my lap, I'm going to do. Anything else, this is my day job. This is my 9 to 5. I mean, more realistically, it's my 9 to 9, 7 days a week. But this is my, this is my obsession. This is what I'm going to be spending my time doing. But I kept getting booked, and a big part of that was just because these emails were going out, and I would get an email back saying, hey, I'm really glad you reached out. I talked to the committee this year, and they think a magic would be a great idea, and so we'd like to put you forward for an event. How much would you be? So absolutely be doing this. These are all the different strategies that you can leverage email to, or leverage automation to increase your bottom line year over year and just continue to grow and get more value out of all those leads that you get. So you've got your tags now, and we can look at our tags by clicking on contacts and tags. I'm in a test account right here. So however you're using tags, whether you're using them for prospecting, whether you're using them as part of a broader strategy, you can start to target different people, send out different groups. I tag people that I met that I got their business card. I tag people through cold call processes. I tag people I meet at trade shows. As a corporate performer, one of the things that I found very effective is going to the IAAP, the International Association of Administrative Professionals, because I found most of my events are actually booked and the decisions are made by administrative professionals, people who, get tasked with putting together the holiday party. So getting them on your side early on has been really good for me as a corporate performer. So I go to their networking breakfasts and things like that, and I'll set up a little booth, and I'll do magic. I'll get business cards and I put them in there. So we've got our tags, and if I just want to send one email blast out to a tag or to multiple tags, there's a couple ways to do it. The easiest way to do it is to go into the email blast, and I want to create a new one. Now we've got 6 fields in here, very simple. Just kind of speaking to the question, what the fields mean. There are some videos around the email blast, but I think they're all webinars. So I'm just to kind of cover all this information again. You give it a name. This is just what you're going to call the email blast. So if it's your spring newsletter, we would just call it spring newsletter. If you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. This is just so you can identify it and understand what it is relative to other email blasts that you've sent in the past. The next field we have over here is the send schedule. And the idea here is that typically if you're sending one of these, you want it to go out right away. Sometimes you want to get a jump on things in life, so you're going to say, okay, I'm going to schedule this to go out on March 15th at 5:50 a.m. or whatever makes sense to you. You can schedule the date and the time. The next one is from name. This is the name they're going to see in the from box. So if you get an email from somebody, usually it has their email address and their name. So I'm going to put in Michael Carducci because it's going to show from Michael Carducci, michael@trulymagic.com. And the from address, I'm going to do michael@trulymagic.com because trulymagic.com is my main website property. Now, if you have multiple websites, if you've got like a website for your speaking business and for your hypnosis and for your, your DJ, your band, whatever you do, then and you want to kind of use that branding, then just change that. I used to do birthday parties, so if I was doing a birthday newsletter, then I would use that particular domain name. I think if that domain name does anything, it redirects to my Truly Magic site now, but you can specify that. The last two here are the template and the tags. So the template is whatever email template you want to use to fire these out. And so, these are all managed here under templates. If you create, I'm just going to open a tab here and show you this. So if you create a template for your newsletter, make sure that you selected email template, and most of the merge fields will work. Now, obviously, a newsletter is going out separate from a gig, and not, and so there won't be any specific gig related to it. So it's not going to be able to fill in gig fields. It's just not going to be able to fill those in. So if you put in, show date, hey, we did a gig on. This isn't going to work. So this is just gonna show up blank. So remember, you can only use the contact and the company fields. And keep in mind when you're doing a large blast that you might not have all the information for all of them. So you want to keep the merge fields down, I'd say, to a minimum. Typically, I always do hi, contact, first name, and then go through this whole process. Put whatever your newsletter in here. That's the other announcement, actually, is that we do have another employee doing template formatting again. So if you've got anything custom or fancy that you want to do, create a support ticket, and Karan will get on top of that. He's working through, I think, a dozen or so requests right now, but keep those coming. Let's keep him busy. Anyway, you have your email template in here. One other point, as we're talking about email templates, that I just want to touch on is when you're creating links, by default, Mago will turn your links into trackable links. In other words, it will track when somebody clicks on a link. And this is great. This is really great. We'll talk about all the statistics for the email blast in a moment. But understand that Mago is keeping track of all those links. And so you can keep track of when a link has been clicked on. There's a couple points that just since we're here, I will talk about, because it will make sure that the details of that your links will work, and you get everything into people's inboxes the highest percentage of the time. So first of all, if you create a link, spell checker, yeah. If you just type a link in here, this is not actually technically a link yet, and so Mago is not going to pick that up and convert that into a trackable link. It's actually specifically looking for something that is formatted like a link. So you use this link button here on the toolbar to do that. So you would just put in the URL there. And so that's kind of important. And excuse me, now it can actually go through and find that as a trackable link and convert that as you would expect it to be done. However, because we're tracking the link, this can create an unexpected situation. So this might end up being something like, something like that. And some email programs will look at this and say, well, it looks like a link to this site, but it's actually hiding the fact that it's a link to something completely different. This looks to us like one of those fraudulent emails where they're trying to get your bank account details, where they're pretending to be Chase Bank or PayPal or Amazon or whomever. So they might get blocked because it looks like a deceptive practice. So instead, the idea here is you want to use some text instead of a link there. So this might end up being something like, and then now you've got a link that is going to be trackable, and it's not going to look suspicious. It's not going to look fishy. That's actually one of the reasons that we turned off tracking temporarily for the link click tracking in the regular emails in Mago, because that was happening. So, and it was affecting deliverability. So something to keep in mind. Don't do that. One other thing, when you're creating these links, if you leave out that the HTTP, your links are not going to work properly. So don't just do www.trulymagic.com, because that's actually not an actual thing. It's even going to tell you about this. It seems to be an external link. Do you want to add the required HTTP prefix? Yes, you absolutely want to do that. Otherwise, your links aren't going to work. And these are things you don't want to have. You don't want to send an email out to 10,000 people and have them all not being able to click on the link that you want. So 3 tips just to summarize. Create your links using this link insert edit link. Enter the full URL, including the HTTP or the HTTPS, and use text instead of the address of the link here, because otherwise that can look deceptive. So you've got your template. Give it a name. And we'll give it a subject. Hi. I'll just copy this because, as you know, your merge fields that you can use in the body of your email also work in the subject. So I'll save that, and see, back in here I can pick whichever email template I want, and I can go and pick whichever tags I want. So you can pick multiple tags, and so the idea here is, once you save the email blast, it's going to put everything into the queue, and it's going to get everything going. Now, this is a test account, and I don't actually know what are in any of these tags, so I'm not going to send anything, but I'm going to pull one up that has gone out earlier, or at least one that's been created earlier. So the idea here, when you've loaded up the email blast, when you click send, what you're going to see initially is all of these charts are going to be showing 0, and everything is in the queue. And the whole idea here is that the emails are kind of sent off in the background. And there's a process that goes and handles the sending of those, generates those, sends those. And it can take some time, just depending on how busy the system is. It also will do some throttling from time to time. There are some email servers out there that say, oh, you know what? I've gotten 10 copies of this email in the last 2 minutes to different people. I think it's spam. I'm just going to put them all in the spam folder. And we don't want that. We want email to go into your inbox. So part of the smarts behind the email sending is there's some logic in terms of how it might throttle these so they get dripped out at an appropriate rate for different email systems. So it can be in queue for a period. Usually it's not more than a few minutes, but it depends on how busy the system is. And you can immediately see, okay, here are the tags that we targeted. This is the message info from the sent date, time, how many are in queue, and also I can see which email template I used to send out. So that's all part of this process now. And I can see how many sent, how many have been opened, how many have clicked on the links, how many emails have been skipped, and usually these are duplicates that are in your prospects. You might have 2 prospects. You might have somebody tagged twice, so you've got somebody that's in multiple tag lists but you only want them to get 1 email. So you could, that skipped, bounced, opt-outs, all these things are kind of in here, and you get kind of a summary of the first 24 hours so you can see what the response rate really is. So you have a list of everything that's been sent when, and you also have, just looking at the second one, you also have a window into who has viewed your message. And this actually can be quite telling. A lot of people, they look at an email, they look at it once. Okay. Some people don't look at it at all. It's busy, it got buried in the inbox, something like this happened. And then occasionally somebody looks at it and they open it again. They open it again while they're talking to somebody else about it. They open it again. They forward it to 2 or 3 people who also all open it. And this little hit counter here just keeps going up, 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 up. That tells you something. They are a hot prospect. Now, wouldn't it be nice if you can go and find those people and send a follow-up just to those people who are really enthusiastic? That's why there's this little tag button right here where I can say, tag all of the recipients who viewed 5 or more times. Give them a new tag. I'm going to call them hot prospects. And they all either get added to the tag, or if the tag already exists, or if the tag doesn't exist, they get created. So now you can put those people in hot prospects. And it's the same thing with the links. If you've got your links set up correctly, you can keep track of everybody who clicked on your link. And the people you can tag the people who clicked, the people who didn't click, or the people who clicked 5 or more times. And so the people who are hot, and you can send different follow-ups just to those people. So here, for example, for the recipients who did not view, what I actually like to do is to send a follow-up email, but formatted slightly different. So I'll actually create an email that is almost exactly the same as my original email, but I add to the subject, I add forward, and I write this ostensibly from somebody else, somebody on my team, who just says something along the lines of, Michael asked me to follow up with you and make sure that you saw this email. And it kind of gives it that personal importance. And I'll show you an example of a template here. Like I didn't open up follow-up. So you have forward, great meeting you, contact first name. And then this is from, let's say, somebody, a fictitious assistant or not, named Donna, that just says, hi, contact first name. Michael asked me to make sure you saw this and find out if you had any questions. Let me know if we could be of any help. Donna. And now it's not an email blast. This is a personal follow-up from, that I'm, in their mind, I'm like, oh, did XYZ see that email? Forward that, just make sure they saw it. And this is now going out to the people who didn't open the email. So you've got this second wave of emails to go out to them. The second wave of emails to go out to them, and it's a very effective strategy. And you can do the same thing for people who didn't click and did click and things like that. So that's a nice little feature in the email blasts themselves to be able to kind of follow up. Now, email blasts are great for doing one-offs, but I do want to show you one other trick that you may or may not have seen. If you are looking at a tag, and let's say we have a tag. Where's my corporate clients? I may have already deleted it. Business cards, birthday clients, whatever. Yeah. So we have a tag in here. I'm looking at a tag and I see all the people on the list who have this tag. There's a couple options when you're looking at a tag. New contact. I can create a new contact here that automatically has that tag. I can run an automation on the tag. Now think about this for a moment. You have a list of people that you've gathered from a trade show, from some kind of event that you've done. You've got a list of leads. you're out there prospecting and you hire somebody to go calling, and they put 200, 300, 400 leads into your database, and you want to put them all on the same sequence, all in the same funnel, to go send an email, a nice to meet you email, etc., and these 3 or 4 touch points out throughout the year. You can run an automation sequence on a tag, so you can send out the whole drip marketing chain. You can send out an email, a follow-up, a follow-up, a follow-up, and so on, all the way through the process. So instead of just sending one email out as an email blast, you can send out a whole series. You can also create an email blast. So just clicking on this will open up the email blast, and it will pre-select that target, that tag. And the last thing you can do, of course, is export out to a CSV. And this is useful if you want to do some kind of physical mailing. Then you know, I know people who'll send out a postcard every 2 months or so, and you know, and they actually have tagging people send them a postcard. That happens as part of an automation routine, so they get tagged, and then as they kind of go through this, they just untag that as part of this process. So everybody who's got that tag, they do an export, they send it the postcard, and then they kind of clear that tag out, and then the cycle kind of continues. So that's that's kind of the idea of what's happening there. And so you can export this as a CSV and just do a standard mail merge, and all the, this is another one of those kind of marginal valued features that I decided not to put in, because there are a couple hundred different Avery label templates out there, different dimensions, different size, different numbers, different this, different that. And rather than trying to implement all of those, we all have all of the Avery templates in, we have all of the Avery templates inside of our different apps right now. Whatever, if you're using Pages on iWork on the back, if you're using Word, if you're using OpenOffice, if you're using basically any word processor, it already has all of the templates available. And you just pick the template, you plug it into your CSV, and away you go. So I didn't try to reinvent the wheel poorly. I just made it very, very easy for you to do that. So just to kind of keep going on this before we wrap up, and there's a couple comments. Writing the blast content manually rather than creating a template. Just because even if you just wrote something right there in that form, if there was a box to do that, it would actually have to save a template because of the way that it all works. I mean, you can always delete the template afterwards, but it would be nice. I think it would be nice to be able to create that template from that screen. So if you didn't have it ready, you could go and do that. So there are some revisions to the email blast feature in the pipeline right now. So that's one of them, being able to create the templates in line. And the other feature that's coming is the ability to kind of run a test. And so you can see, so you could go in there and send out a test and get some other information before you send it, like how spammy does this look to filters? Is it the kind of thing that's going to trip up spam filters? So you can get that kind of information too. And the other one, in terms of the first 24 hours, I mean, really the number of interactions, it falls off very precipitously after about 24 hours. That if we kept this chart open indefinitely, then really the scale would just be kind of minuscule. It would go from saying here's kind of a very reasonable arc of the data to here's a little tiny blip at the beginning. And because it stretches out longer to longer, the scale gets smaller and smaller, and you'll lose a lot of detail. So I just kind of picked that as that's really the primary useful window. And if you actually send out larger blasts, you'll see everything falls off quite quickly after after a couple hours. That 80% of the interactions have kind of already happened. But it's just to kind of give you kind of a look into that. So let me, I think we've covered everything on the email blast. There's a lot of little different nuances and facets in there, but I hope you can see what a powerful little feature this is, and there's even more coming. Mark, I don't know if you were, and forgive me if this is actually you who commented on this, in terms of being able to blast some of the people on your list and not all. There was a discussion really came up recently on the Facebook group, and it's not a difficult thing to do. So it's a feature right now that's in the that's in the backlog to try to get dealt with very soon. Basically, adding a feature in there where you can say target these tags except these other tags, and the idea is you can tag a group of people and say send it to everybody except whoever's in this list. And a lot of people would love that, so it's a pretty easy thing to do. In the meantime, and I don't want to give a hard date just yet, just because I know there's a lot of things in active development. It's in terms of actual development time, it's a couple hours, but in terms of where that fits in with thousands of hours of development that I'd like to do, it's all about, I don't know exactly where that will fit in yet, but in the meantime, just keeping very good housekeeping around creating tags and being very as granular as you want to be with the tagging will give you good results. But watch that space. That is coming soon. Talk a little bit about setting up Mago for multiple performers. I think, Heather, you were talking mainly about the situations where and I don't know if you're on the chat, you can confirm this, but you're talking mainly about situations where you might, where you might book somebody in lieu of your primary performer. So give you a situation, an inquiry comes in, and the main performer's booked, and you want to kind of pass that on to somebody else. Maybe you want to book the other person on their behalf, or you just want to pass on the referral and maybe get a commission. Is that kind of the main thing, or is it more, I want to set this up and use this as an agency, and I want to keep a big book of talent and book different people, have something different at every show. If you're in the chat here, just give me a quick comment so I know how best to address this. Okay, good. I'll show you. There's a couple different ways to deal with this. I'm going to give you, so Heather said mainly booking a substitute magician. So there's a couple different ways to deal with this. I'm going to show you. It really breaks down to 3 scenarios, right? Scenario 1, the most simple. You just want to substitute somebody else, but you kind of want to do it a little more officially than, hey, give XYZ a call, which is what a lot of people typically do, and they're missing out on that opportunity. So for that scenario, the basic scenario is I might create 2 email templates. The first email template I'll create is and Heather, in your situation, you have a small number of performers that you might refer, because a lot of these are probably local events. You're not gonna keep 2,000 magicians on call. You've probably got a handful that you would trust to refer people over to. So the simplest one, if you're referring to, refer the customer to, I'll say Michael, different Michael, not me. So I have an email template, and I'm going to say magician on, whatever the thing is. I normally look this up in the insert list, but I already know it because it's not my first rodeo. I say hi, contact first, name, and again, these are all in here. I'm just typing it just to kind of keep flowing. Unfortunately, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not available on whatever the gig date is, right? I'd say, unfortunately, I'm fully booked on. However, I can recommend my colleague, Michael Douglas. He and I have worked together many times, and out of everyone I know, he has my highest recommendation. I can't type, I can't spell today. But I actually want to fill out this whole thing so you get an idea of what you might say in this email. And he has my highest recommendation. You'll be pleased to know that our styles are similar. And so everything you were excited about me, you'll be excited about with him. I wish I could. Please let me know if there is anything else I can do to make your event unforgettable. But I know your entertainment will be in good hands. All the best, Michael Carducci. And I might link to his website here. I might say so I might pick Michael Douglas Magic and link to that. Put that in there, and maybe a phone number as well. But I have all that in here, and I'll save this as a template. And this is the first step in my little automation. Now I'm going to create. I'm going to go create another template. So I've got this in here. I'm going to create another template. I'm going to call this referral to Michael. And this is another email template, and it's new lead for you. And then I might put the event in here, gig date closed. And hey, Michael, got a new lead for you. Here's all the details. And then I just merge in everything into here. I probably insert a table. And event date. And I would put in here gig show date. I do the short and American style. Show time. And then I would put in here again, show time. And I would repeat this for every field that is really relevant to the detail. I put in the other person's contact. I'd put in all their contact information, the event details, the description, all of this stuff. So now Michael's going to get an email that has all the information in here. And depending on the type of depending on the type of deal, I might say here at the end, if it all goes through, please send me a commission. And I can just go in here now and create a link to my paypal.me. And if you're not familiar with paypal.me, paypal.me is a super easy service that PayPal recently launched. If you haven't got this yet, just go ahead and reserve your name. Apparently, for me, Carducci was taken already. Michael Carducci was taken. I ended up doing a Truly Magic is what I ended up having. But so I'll just show you this here. PayPal.me. Truly Magic. In here, if I say Truly Magic /200, it automatically fills in the amount. If I have just Truly Magic and just go there, it's blank, and you can type in an amount. So let's start. I think you understand kind of the idea here. So I save this other template, and I'll go create a new automation routine. So I'm going to call this refer the gig to Michael Douglas. and it's a lead type of event. It goes in there. I save this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send my email that I just created, refer customer to Michael, and I'm going to send this email to the primary contact. This is going to go out immediately, so I'm done. I'm ready to save. The very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send out an email, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be the second one we created. Refer to Michael. Now, instead of sending the email to the primary contact, I'm going to send this to other. And I'm going to add in Michael's I'm going to put in Michael's email in here, and I'm going to send that right away. And so now this is the most simplest case, the simplest scenario. You tell the customer, I'm going to pass you over to this other person, and then you actually pass all the information over to the third party, and you let them handle it. That's one scenario. Now there's another scenario that you can actually go and book this event. So you could say, you could create a routine that says, I'm actually not available, but I work with the best talent in the area. I would be happy to book somebody spectacular on your behalf. And so probably what I would do here is I would create an email template that says, exactly that. I'd be happy to create somebody spectacular on your behalf. And I might go in here and add some attachments. So I might add a flyer, a little one sheet type of thing. So I might add that in there. I might add, so if I'm sending just a refer to one specific person, then then I would do that. If I was going to say, look, I can connect you with somebody else, I might send them several flyers, or I might just have a conversation. But if this is the case, then regardless, what I might do is go into Mago, and I'm going to customize my system a little bit. And I'm going to take one of my custom fields for the gig, and I'm going to, let's say I'm not using any of them right now. I'm going to take custom one, and I'm going to make this referred performer. And then on custom 2, I'm going to call this commission. And I'll save this. And now I've just customized 2 of my gig fields that I can use to, let me just pick some random, I don't think I've got any here. Pick a random sample event here. And let's say I'm going to book somebody else on my behalf. This is on here. I'm going to say my referred performer is Michael, and my commission is $250. So I'll have a conversation with Michael, and in my email template, I'm actually going to pull in this commission amount. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. I'm going to pull in this commission amount and send out kind of my show sheet for the whole thing, and make sure I get a confirmation and things like this, and say, you are now booked for the following event, blah, 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 blah. All the information, please confirm whatever. I might send a contract, generate a contract, and send them to them. Because again, you can do the same thing. You can create a contract template that's just for one of these people and send that to other and say, look, sign this, send it back to me. And you've got all this information, and you could either ask them to pay you a commission, or you can handle the payments yourself. But probably after the event, please send me a commission. And you can use this PayPal Me thing again, and you can actually put your commission in this URL. So this is going to merge in out of that field that we just created. It's going to merge in out of the field we just created. And so now you can now when they click on this PayPal link, it's not just going to say paypal.me/trulymagic. It's going to say paypal.me/trulymagic/250. And it makes this super easy. They can just go in, enter their credit card, enter their PayPal account, whatever it is that they want to do, and pay that commission very, very easily. And there's a lot of, and so kind of given this idea, given this understanding, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of possibilities to go in and manage this referral process to make it very easy for the other person, to the point that you could either just pass it on and say, it's all you, my friend, good luck, throw me a bone if it all goes through, to managing the entire process, sending out the flyer for other, your referred person, actually booking it, and either having the check go to that person or taking deposit and then forwarding in their net from the deposit, and then they get the balance, however you normally do it. But a lot of possibilities and potential around that. Just jumping into the next question here, and Sora, yes, we do need to talk again, because now that I've freed up a lot of my schedule, I want to make sure that we get those agency features built out. So I'll circle back certainly there with you privately. But I know we talked briefly. Anytime you're in a situation where, and I'll be honest, I don't think this has ever happened to me, but anytime you're in a situation where you're going to get paid a non-standard through a non-standard process, there's a couple different ways to handle this. Let's say my fee, is, we'll just pick a number. We'll say it's $5,000. And I'm going to get paid $1,000 a month for 5 months. If this is if this is a case, there's a couple different ways you can go about this. So our balance isn't paid, or deposit's not paid. I can say my deposit is 1,000 and save this, and then and anytime I get paid anything, I always do this in any event. If I get a check, I just I'll say received check, and I'll say check number blah blah blah, and it's going to have the date, it's going to have the information, check amount $1,000. So I've got this information already. I'm going to save this. I can actually attach a scan of the, I can upload a scan of the image if I wanted to. If I did, I would save that under gig files. These are files that are related to this specific gig. Media is more images and things that you use over and over again in templates. Documents are things like your W-9, your contract, your technical writer. Sorry, not your contract, your writer, your introduction, your any kind of documents that you would use for multiple gigs. Maybe they're flyers, maybe they're posters, whatever. They're things that you might send from time to time. Then gig files are files that are specific just to that gig. So I would upload, maybe a payment, a payment, whatever the check stub was. I might upload that up there, and then I'll attach this to this history item. So I can save this in the history now, and now I know, okay, I've received 1,000, and I've got my deposit of 1,000 has been paid. So this is actually going to, I can say, I can record the deposit. I can do whatever. Since this is in the past, it's only given me the option to take the balance, but I can go and then check the deposit is paid. Following that, if I get another check for $1,000, I would go through the same process, and I would say, I would create another, received, the same thing, create a history item, received check, and check number, check amount, things like that. And then I could just go through and say, and edit my deposit now to be 2,000. So at any given time, the balance due is 2,000. And I might even create an email template around this that I could just use over and over again. And my email template, might just be, I might create a document template, an email template, because we do have some templates that you can use like a receipt. So I'll take a deposit receipt, and I might duplicate this. I might create a copy of this, and to do that, here's my generic deposit receipt. I just click duplicate. Now I've got a copy. I'm going to call this deposit receipt payment plan. So I can go in here. And we can just format this to kind of suit that purpose. So I could say, call this payment, and then the gig name, and then I say date. I can say the date. Instead of using gig date close, I would actually use current date. So I use the current date here, and then I put in so I put the current date in here. This is the date that it was received. This is the amount received to date. And then on the amount outstanding, I might just put in here on the computed fields. I actually have balance due. And what this is going to do is it's going to subtract from the fee. It's going to subtract whatever the deposit is from the fee if any have been received. So if balance received is checked, this is going to be 0. If deposit received is checked and it's 1,000 and fee is 5,000 and fee received and balance received is not checked, then it will say balance due is 4,000. So it's going to do the math for you. And then you can you can just kind of use this whole thing: amount outstanding, final payment due, and then you can just put in gig short date. That's not where I wanted that. I wanted that here. Gig date short, and that'll be the date the final payment is due, or however you want to do that. And then you can kind of give them a running statement, if you will. You can also use custom fields to store things like next payment due, things like that. But hopefully this is a rare enough situation that you don't have to go out of your way too often to kind of accommodate it. But this is how I would approach it. We've got the next question I've got: is it possible to add the tagging field to the web forms so I can type several tags as I enter their own data on the form? No, not yet. I think that's I could see the value of that if you're using kind of quick lead capture forms, but there's not really a way that it would support that right now. Put that in the ideas list on the feedback page, because I'd like to get some support behind that, because I think that's a good idea and a lot of people will get some value out of it. So I'd like to get some momentum on that side of things. The couple situations talking to one client about multiple events. What are my thoughts on how to handle the email conversation, given that there's more than one lead / gig to associate it with? And now, are you talking about the outbound communication, or the or the inbound stuff, like where Mago is actually trying to ingest emails related to that? Because I do that a little bit, but I usually kind of pick one to be the master record and do most of the communications kind of either in one primary one, or because I don't tend to want to duplicate a lot of things. So I'll send out a contract and to be signed, and before it goes out, I'll just edit it. So here are the dates, especially if these are all together. If it's some kind of run of events, like if I'm booking, for example, 3 different events for one conference producer at the same time. So the first one is actually where I'm kind of handling everything in terms of a lot of the communication. But when the contract goes out, I'm saying, when the contract goes out, I'm saying, okay, here's my contract for the day. Here's my this. Here's my that. And I just put everything in one contract, and I just put copies of things in the other contract. So when I get the contract back, I do the same process to attach it to the other 2 contracts, just so when I look at the history, I can see everything. But that's kind of the main process. If they all kind of stand on their own, I tend to run the contract, the booking sequence for both of them, just because it's good. I tend to run the whole process. When I book a show, I run a routine that sends out a confirmation, that sends out some follow-ups, that some check-in emails before the event, sends me a show sheet reminder and a packing list 2 days before the event, and so on. And I want to do all of that, whether it's for the same client or not. So I tend to do just that. But but I'd be open to kind of having an ongoing conversation around that. And I noticed that we're over the hour mark. So we got 2 more questions here. So I want to try to get through both of those. And I know we talked a little bit, Sora, about the talent pool, the agency edition, if you will. I know we've got a little group. I'd like to try to schedule something next week to kind of get everybody talking, and figure out some of the details around that. So if we can talk offline, we can get our kind of agent mastermind group together and talk about that. And the last question, I am going through a process right now, Andy, about getting these webinars in a more accessible format. So one of the things that I've been having Sarah do since she joined a couple weeks ago is going through all the webinars and indexing them. So she's going through and watching all of them, and she's noting the time that every different topic gets addressed, and so to make them useful in more than just saying here's a file, go check it out, it's all you. So she's been going through all the historical webinars, and we're going to be getting those up probably in the next week or so onto YouTube or Vimeo or some platform like that where you can access these, and as well as the kind of summaries and the content. So that's going on right now. In fact, I don't think Sarah was able to join us. I know there's some conversations taking place outside of this, and because I'm here, because I'm kind of on camera, as it were, I'm not really able to stop what I'm doing and see what I see some emails, some text messages, and some Facebook messages, and I haven't had a chance to look at those yet, but I know. So I don't know if she was able to get in. Or if everything's going okay. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. A lot of really great questions here. A lot of answers. I know Sarah's mostly caught up on the webinar, so she's going to be going through this one probably by the end of the week, and getting all of these onto Vimeo or somewhere is next, along with the content. So that's going to be useful, and hopefully. While we build out more of the documentation and the knowledge base, she'll be able to go in and actually just cut out certain sections and make them into videos that just kind of stand on their own, that might be in the knowledge base or otherwise accessible online. So that about wraps it up for me. Thank you all for joining us, for your time and for your attention, and for being part of the community. That's probably the greatest thing about this is watching the Facebook group, for example, just watching that community at work. Everybody's supporting each other. Everybody's we're all kind of moving towards the same goal, and it's a real privilege to get to hang out with you guys. So thank you. I'm going to wrap up, but I'll be around, and I'll see you next week. Take care.